Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel and hopefully a new series that could probably last quite a while. Inspired by a video series that Andy at Forgotten World of Movies, who was on my live stream, is it last week? Yeah, well, I don't know, probably not last week when you're seeing this because I have no idea when this is going up. He's been on my live stream in the past. Great channel, great guy. Go check him out if you don't watch him already. But he did this long video series of like top tens of certain years, and I thought I'd do that because again, I like to try and show off my collection in different ways, not in the conventional like Blu-ray collection video series thing. I like to show the different titles off in different ways. So I thought I'd do that, and I'd start of the decade of my birth, the 2000s, so obviously starting with 2000, and I'm going to show, I've got a few honourable mentions, and then I'll show you my top 10 from that year. Fairly easy this year, surprisingly. I thought it was going to be hard, but fairly easy year to kind of like rank, I think. But if you like this sort of video, if you want me to see me go on to like 2001, 2, and then go back or forward or whatever, let me know, because I find it interesting looking at top tens of years. Like Andy's videos were really interesting. I will be honest, they're probably going to be quite mainstream, most of them, because the older the film is, the less chances are that if it's not very well known, there is a Blu-ray release for it. So I am going to try. I mean, I could show DVDs as well, but a lot of my DVDs, you'll probably know, are in. I've taken out the like decased and put them in like a little case just to discs. So it's probably not too easy doing that. So I thought I'll just stick to Blu-rays for now. But like I said, because of that, there may not all necessarily be, like for example, these are all fairly mainstream titles. But yeah, I'll give you my reasoning for why I've included them, and I'll get straight on because I don't want to babble on for too long. So my first honourable mention is a Jerry Bruckheimer produced film. Who directed it? Don't know that director. Dominic Senna. It's a Nicolas Cage film, and that is Gone in 60 Seconds. It's a lot of fun. I've only seen it the once. Angelina Jolie's in this one as well. You've got Giovanni Ribisi, Delroy Lindo, Will Patton, Christopher Eccleston, I forgot he was in this, Chi McBride, Robert Duvall, about these car jumpers. They basically steal cars and race them, that sort of thing. And Nicolas Cage's character's kind of given up on that life, but he has to get back into it because his younger brother has got into trouble basically with this mobster. So he's got to get his old crew back together and basically steal these cars. That's what it's about. It's a lot of fun. Jerry Bruckheimer, you kind of got your certain expectations of his types of films, and it's very much the same sort of thing, like your Con Air, your The Rock, Face Off, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but didn't quite manage to crack my top 10. Along the same sort of lines, pretty good action thriller, Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson. This is the reboot of the 70s films, which starred Richard Roundtree, who reprises his role in this film as the lead character's uncle, although in the sequel to this, he then turned out to be his dad. Not a great sequel, but you got Christian Bale in this, who's great role in this. He's the villain of the film. Toni Collette, who he's basically got to protect because she's the only eyewitness to this crime that can put Christian Bale's character behind bars. So Shaft's got to do what he's got to do, kind of break the laws. That, you know, you could kind of say, if you've seen the Shaft films, you kind of know what you're getting yourself in for with this. It's been a while since I've watched it. You've got Jeffrey Wright in this one as well. But you can kind of, like I said, you can kind of expect what you're going to get with this sort of film, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's Shaft. Next up, how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everything's right. Number 11 I suppose, or last honourable mention, is another Jerry Bruckheimer film, Coyote Ugly, all about a young girl who moves to New York to pursue her dream of becoming a songwriter, and she starts working at this local bar called Coyote Ugly, ran by Maria Bellows' character. It's a love story. It's not going to be for everyone. It's definitely, I would put this in the category of a chick flick, but I had a lot of fun with it. I like the soundtrack to this. Got great soundtrack. If you want to watch a film that puts you right smack bang in the early 2000s, this one definitely has that feeling to it. It's still a lot of fun, quite funny as well. If you like a love film, like a love story, rom-com sort of thing, then yeah, you'll enjoy this. It's got John Goodman in here as well, playing the lead character's dad. And yeah, fun film. So yeah, Coyote Ugly. Then my top 10 starts with a Sam Raimi film, which I've mentioned on the channel before. It's just had a first time release on 4K through Arrow in January, I believe, but I'm quite happy with this release because the transfer's beautiful, and that's The Gift. Fantastic cast this one's got. You've got Cate Blanchett, who's the lead. You've got Giovanni Ribisi again, Keanu Reeves, Katie Holmes, Greg Kinnear, Hilary Swank, and basically it follows Cate Blanchett's character, who makes a living. She's basically a like psychic sort of thing. She's basically, well, yeah, sees other people's futures, that sort of thing. But then she sees something quite dark one day, and things start going very wrong. I'll just say it's definitely, I'd put it more into the horror realm. It's got a lot of horror elements to it, psychological horror, I would definitely say. Very underrated Sam Raimi film. Lovely release as well, this one. Very lucky to get it. I'm happy that I've only even just got one imprint title in my collection, because I know they're really expensive, but very happy to have it. So yeah, that's The Gift at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is a film by director Wolfgang Peterson, starring George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, and John C. Reilly, and that is The Perfect Storm, based on true story. A very sad film about these fishermen that go out during one of the biggest hurricanes recorded in October 1991. And that's basically all I can say. They're in the middle of this huge storm, massive hurricane, on this little fishing boat, and it's definitely, I'll put it in the category of disaster film. It's, as I said, true story. I'm not going to tell you any more if you've not seen it, other than to say definitely check this out. You won't be wasting your time, you won't regret it. It's a great film. Yeah, that's The Perfect Storm at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is a British film. Not the top British film here. The top British film is the very top for me, because it's a film that I could put on any time and it will always put me in a good mood, but we'll get there eventually. Coming in at number 8, the quote on the front, because it's one of those HMV exclusive slipcovers: "I don't want a childhood, I want to be a ballet dancer," and that is, of course, Billy Elliot. Jamie Bell, Julie Walters is his dance teacher, or ballet teacher, I suppose. Gary Lewis plays his dad, great British actor that pops up in a lot of stuff. And yes, about this young boy. They live in the north. He's like son of a coal miner, and he stumbles across Julie Walters' character's ballet class and starts to take lessons during whilst he's supposed to be doing his boxing lessons. That's what his dad thinks he's doing. And he finds that it's something that he really loves, it's something he's really good at, but obviously because he's a boy, and I think it's probably during the 80s or the 90s, probably a bit frowned upon back then, especially for people like his dad, who grew up in a different time. And it's, yeah, I'd use the word groundbreaking British film. It's very good. Jamie Bell's fantastic in this, and yet one that I would thoroughly recommend. At my number 8, we have Billy Elliot. Coming in at number 7 is a film that was kind of groundbreaking at the time for being like the first big comic book film to get off the ground, and it was very successful, very well received, and it's one that I really enjoy. Not my favourite. It's a bit dated, I suppose, but now being 25 years old, but still a hell of a good film. And that's the original X-Men. Obviously, you've got Hugh Jackman, has started his career, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, kind of having a bit of a resurgence in their careers with these two films. This film, sorry. You got Halle Berry, again, another person whose kind of career kind of lifted with this. Famke Janssen, James Marsden. Who else is that? I think I've covered most of them. And yes, as I say, X-Men, most people have probably seen this, but it was definitely groundbreaking at this time. You had this, and then I suppose the next big one would have been the first Spider-Man film. I suppose you did have, obviously, the Superman films and the Batman films, but in terms of Marvel and comic book films that kind of stand the test of time and are like more of a look of where we are now, this kind of started that, I think. And it's a great little film. Well, not a little film, quite a big film, isn't it? And I enjoy it. I enjoy all the X-Men, well, most of the X-Men films, I shall say, but you may see some more pop up, you may see some missing, you'll just have to see throughout these videos. But yeah, that's the original X-Men. That was number 7, wasn't it? Coming in at number 6, make sure I'm getting it right, because sometimes I have a tendency to go off number. We have a Cameron Crowe film, and that is, of course, Almost Famous, starring the beautiful Kate Hudson. You've got Billy Crudup, Jason Lee, lead characters Patrick Fugit, who's is semi-autobiographical, I think, and it's obviously about the lead character, William Miller, who wants to write for the Rolling Stone, and basically gets an interview with a huge rock band and goes on tour with them, and along the way he meets one of the groupies played by Kate Hudson and kind of gets involved in their life, sees what a rock and roll life is like whilst writing about them. Again, fantastic film, set in the, I want to say 70s, maybe, probably 70s, I would say. 4K is beautiful on this one. It's a great film, quite long. She's got the extended cut, which is 161 minutes, compared to the theatrical cut, which is only 123. Extended cut all the way for this. The bus scene with Tiny Dancer, very memorable, cinematic-wise. And yeah, great film. If you like Cameron Crowe's films, if you like music films, definitely one I would recommend. Then, coming into the top 5, coming in at number 5 is the first Sofia Coppola film, and might have been the first film of hers that I actually watched last year before. I think I watched this one. Again, thoroughly enjoyed it, thought it was a really good film, and that is, of course, The Virgin Suicides. Now, I thought this came out in 1999. It says on the back 1999, but then when I looked it up, it said January 2000. So I've put it in the 2000s because that's what it says when I go online. So that's where I'm going to include it. All about these sisters. You've got Kristen Dunst, who's like the main one, I think. And then their parents are James Woods and Kathleen Turner. You've got a very early performance from Josh Hartnett in this one. Scott Glenn's in this one. And Danny DeVito as well. And it's narrated, again, by Giovanni Ribisi. And yeah, really good film. As I said in my one of my recent watch pile videos I watched somewhere, Sofia Coppola is she's very good at writing characters and like directing films based on characters. Most of her films, or the films that I've seen, there's not a huge story about it. It's more about the characters and their lives. Same for this one, I would say. Very good film, very sad, quite dark as well in places, not what you expect. Quite shocking is the word I would use. Probably quite controversial at the time, I would have thought, because of the subject matter it's dealing with. But yeah, very good film nonetheless, The Virgin Suicides. Coming in at number 4 is I suppose this is a comic book film as well, and it's higher up than X-Men. Love this film. Need to give this a rewatch soon. That's M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable, obviously starring the great Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, about a man who's in a train crash and he's the only survivor, and he wants to find out why this is. He meets up with Samuel L. Jackson's character, who thinks that comic book heroes are real and walk the earth, but he has something sinister in mind, the way that his mind's working, so he's kind of a villain in a way. Great film. I think M. Night's best films were obviously his first three. Don't think he ever got any better than his first three films. Just perfection, all three of them, I think. And you will be seeing Signs in my list at some point, 2002, I think. But Unbreakable, great comic book film, some great performances in this one as well. If you've not seen this, highly recommend it, very entertaining, well worth the watch. That's Unbreakable. Going into my top three now. Now this one was a first time watch for me last year, and whilst it's quite horrific, and I definitely say it's a horror film of sorts because of what the subject matter is, definitely non-conventional horror, but really good film. Really hard to watch, but really good. Really makes you think afterwards, and that is Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream. Really great film this is. You've got Jared Leto, Ellen Burstyn, Jennifer Connelly, Marlon Wayans, all fantastic in this film. All about the use, or I suppose the abuse of drugs and addiction, and it looks at what addiction does to you, and it can and just shows that it can affect literally anyone. As you can see through Ellen Burstyn's character, and it's very scary because it kind of shows you what they may be experiencing. Trippy, I suppose, is a word I'd use, but really quite a beautifully shot film. Looks beautiful. As I said, not for the faint-of-hearted, because it's quite out there, quite hard to watch. Psychedelic, I suppose, is another word you could use. But as I said, all of the people in this give great performances. It's a really great film. I'd say it's quite important. It has a very strong message in it about drug abuse. So for that, I say it's well worth a watch, and that's why it's my number three, Requiem for a Dream. Next up, you can kind of guess what this is, because I said my top film's a British film, and this next film has clearly not been mentioned in this list yet, and it's obviously going to be in my list. And that is Ridley Scott's Gladiator. Russell Crowe. What can I say? Classic, this film. Just great film. One of Ridley Scott's best, I think. I'd say this is my second favourite next to The Martian, which is a personal favourite of mine. Beautifully made film. Great revenge film. Obviously follows Maximus, played by Russell Crowe, who was a general in the army. His family is murdered. He then becomes a slave, and fights as a gladiator in the Colosseum to basically get revenge on the new emperor, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who gives a fantastic performance in this. Everyone in this is fantastic. The great Oliver Reed in this, in his final film role. You got Richard Harris in one of his final film roles. Derek Jacobi, Connie Nielsen, Djimon Hounsou. Music by Hans Zimmer. The score is beautiful in this. It's shot beautifully. So there's not much you can say bad about this film, because it is a great film. It's one of the best films of the last 25 years, no doubt. All of these kind of top three films I'm going to be showing you from each of these years, my personal favourite films of all time, and I think arguably are some of the best films ever made in the last 25 years anyway. And that is Gladiator, Ridley Scott. Fantastic. Coming in at number one, could surprise some people, might even be some people's favourite of this year as well. But like I said before, very rewatchable, always makes me laugh, puts me in a great mood. I just love this film, seen it countless times, and that is Snatch, by a long way my favourite Guy Ritchie film. Just so quotable, so funny, so many memorable parts of this film. Brad Pitt's accent's hilarious, whether when he's trying to say dogs, or the fight, because obviously his character's called One Punch Mickey, you know what happens. The banter between Jason Statham and Stephen Graham's character. Alan Ford's Bricktop, iconic character. Benicio del Toro, Frankie Four Fingers, trying to rob the jewel place, whatever it is. It's just perfect film, I'd say, and one that I, again, love to watch. Always puts me in a great mood. My favourite Guy Ritchie film. Very glad to have this on 4K. Yeah, I need to give this a watch again soon, because it's been a little bit since I've watched it, so I think I could do with having a laugh by watching this. So yeah, my favourite film of 2000 is definitely Guy Ritchie's Snatch. So those are my top 10 films that were released in the year 2000. Let me know some of your favourites from that year. Are there any in my list that are also in your list? Let me know down below. Would you like me to go on and do 2001? Because again, I'm sure I could come up with a great list for 2001. I mean, the first film that comes to my head is Lord of the Rings. Possibly might even be my top film. I don't know yet. I'd have to make that list first. But yeah, if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Turn your notification bell on so you know when I have a new video uploaded to the channel. Comment down below anything and everything. As you know, I always take the time to get back to anyone that leaves me a comment, because I really do appreciate it. And that's it. So until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye.